Ha guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Warriors coach Steve Kerr opens up about Klay Thompson's mindset before Mavericks signing. The Dallas Mavericks recently signed Klay Thompson to a 3-year $50 million contract, surprising some people around the NBA that he'd even consider leaving the Golden State Warriors, much less follow through on it. He and fellow Splash brother Stephen Curry combined to form arguably the greatest backcourt in NBA history and won 4 NBA championships together. In a recent interview with 95.7 The Game, a San Francisco sports radio show, Warriors coach Steve Kerr opened up about Thompson's decision and what impact the injuries had on his mindset over the last few seasons from 2014 to 19. Pre-injury, Klay was unflappable. He rarely required much maintenance. For me as a coach, he was just so happy playing and playing at a high level. I would check in with him and he was always fine and loving life. That changed after the 2 injuries. He struggled to try to get himself back to that level, even though I think he played really well at times for us over the last few years and obviously helped us win a championship. He was still a really high-level player in his own mind, and I think in the minds of everyone watching he wasn't the same guy as he was prior to the injuries, and Klay really struggled with the stuff that went on organizationally. Honestly, I think that stuff is all a byproduct of the frustration with the injuries. We were always in great stead with Klay in terms of our relationship and communicating how we felt about him in the end, and he really needed this career change, and I think it's going to be good for him. Thompson tore his ACL in Game 6 of the 2019 NBA Finals against the Toronto Raptors, forcing him to miss the entire 2019-20 season. Towards the end of that recovery, he tore his Achilles tendon, which forced him to miss all of the 2020-21 season and a good chunk of the 2021-22 season. He returned to help them win a championship in 2022, but it was clear he wasn't quite the same player he was before the injuries. For a lot of great players, it's hard to face the reality that their skills have declined, especially when caused by injury. The Mavericks shouldn't expect the same Klay Thompson from the height of the Warriors dynasty, but they should be getting an elite shooter who can help space the floor for Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. 3-point shooting was their biggest weakness in the NBA Finals, and Thompson is still a great shooter, holding multiple 3-point records. Draymond Green gives one very encouraging ringing endorsement of Spurs move. Your favorite NBA villain had some awesome words to share about the San Antonio Spurs. Golden State Warriors legend Draymond Green has always been respectful of the Spurs, so this shouldn't be a surprise. He, like many other players, has an affinity for Coach Greg Popovich. The respect is through the roof. Coach Pop has accomplished, paired with the way their organization carries itself, still brings respect from contemporaries around the league. It's no shock when players wax poetic about Pop. They've been doing it for years. Unfortunately, that hasn't been enough to make San Antonio a destination city over the past 2 decades, but that seems to be changing with the emergence of Rookie of the Year Victor Wembanyama. Chris Paul joined the roster, naming Victor as part of his reason for choosing the Spurs. The Silver and Black's new marriage with CP3 prompted praise from Draymond on the Draymond Green Show. When Chris Paul joined Phoenix, Devin Booker had been struggling to make it to the playoffs. As soon as Paul joined the roster, the Suns took a turn for the better. He elevated the team, leading them to the postseason and teaching Booker and Andre on how to rise to the occasion in tough situations to pull out the victories they needed to reach the next level. CP3's impact on OKC is even more apparent. They had a pretty significant talent deficit when Paul joined them. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was on the team, but he hadn't turned into the monster fancy today. The point guard led the team to the playoffs as well, and his impact on his teammates there is still being felt today. The Spurs move to acquire Chris Paul, like Draymond said, is a genius one. They're banking on P3 having a similar impact here, and Victor Wembanyama is like a sponge, so he'll absorb everything Paul has to offer, and San Antonio will be better for it. Klay Thompson is officially a member of the Dallas Mavericks after the league's moratorium lifted on July 6. Free agents were able to officially sign their contracts with their new teams. This allowed Thompson to find his way to Dallas via a sign-in trade that saw the future Hall of Fame guard secure a year SL $50 million deal, while the NBA landscape looks quite different, with Thompson wearing a different logo for the first time in his career. The Mavericks will be better after acquiring the sharpshooter in the NBA Finals. Shooting woes held back the Mavericks offense led by Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Signing the former Warriors star absolutely helps address that, giving Dallas a solid third option on the offensive end. Thompson picked the Mavericks over the Los Angeles Lakers for a variety of reasons, and he detailed the reason behind picking Dallas on Tuesday. Dallas was so attracted because of the young players they have, the style of play, the world-class treatment these players get from the organization, and a beautiful city that loves their hoops. Thompson said Doncic is next up in the NBA. He's only 25 years old and just willed his team to the NBA Finals, though his team fell short. Continuing to build a roster around the franchise player could allow the Mavericks to hoist another banner in the American Airlines Center, adding Thompson and his floor spacing alongside Doncic. A player with a hefty amount of scoring gravity seems like a match made in heaven. While Dallas isn't on the West Coast like Los Angeles or San Francisco, it is a large market with a passionate fan base, while also being a change of pace and new scenery for Thompson that might be off to rejuvenate his Hall of Fame career. As the 34-year-old is seeking a fifth NBA title, the Mavericks are a new team to watch, building off their incredible run a season ago, and they're sure to be contenders in the upcoming season. Newest update on Lauri Markkanen trade to Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors have found themselves at a standstill in the Lauri Markkanen trade hunt. While it sounds like bad news, there is some good news about the scenario for Warriors fans. Golden State has the best offer on the market for the All-Star. On the newest episode of the Athletics Warriors Plus Minus podcast, Anthony Slater and Marcus Thompson revealed the newest update on the Lauri Markkanen trade saga. In their eyes, the Golden State Warriors have the best package for Markkanen. They are in this Lauri Markkanen stalled hunt. Basically, Slater said, "I think they're probably the premier team that has had the best package on the table. I think if Lauri Markkanen had been traded at this point, we all agree it would be the Warriors. There Kings have bowed out. Spurs don't seem as thirsty. That's one of the biggest things that's happened to the Warriors. OKC has pivoted at this point. Both Thompson and Slater believe that Lauri Markkanen is either getting traded to the Golden State Warriors or staying with the Utah Jazz. Based on the movement around the league as well, that seems to be the two likeliest scenarios. Without Lauri Markkanen on the roster, the Golden State Warriors truly do not have enough firepower on their team. If some of their younger players like Brandon Podmski and Jonathan Kuminga develop, then it may be a different story. However, Steph Curry is 36 years old, and to put anything besides a win-now team around him is a huge disservice. And you fan, what do you think of the situation of Lauri Markkanen? Leave your opinion in the comments.